So here's what's going on so far. Humanity has tried to clear something called the Tower of Trials, 79 times, to be exact. And every single attempt has ended in failure. Over 315,000 people have died trying to beat it. That's not just a number, it's an entire population gone. After all that, people just gave up. The general belief became that the tower can't be cleared. Then, out of nowhere, a warning appears across the world. Human extinction, 0 hours, 58 minutes, 33 seconds. Less than an hour before extinction. Nobody knows how or why, but it's official. The world is on a countdown. Cut to a guy in an office. Papers are everywhere. He's clearly panicking or desperate, going through documents, maybe looking for a solution or just trying to understand what's happening. The entire mood feels hopeless. At the same time, outside in the city, people start noticing the same message flashing on big screens. A woman holds her kids close, frozen. Everyone looks confused or scared. No one's screaming or running. It's more like shock. No one knows what to do. The countdown ticks on. 58 minutes and 32 seconds. We then see people reading messages online. You can tell the internet is buzzing, but it's all despair. To be fair, there were too many casualties. All the big guilds gave up too. There aren't any challengers left anymore. Guess we got about an hour before the world ends. At this point, even the strongest, most organized groups have given up. Everyone's out of options. And with no one left to try, the end feels inevitable. Just when everyone thought it was over, the screen flashes. Tower of Trials, 48th floor. In the middle of the crumbling arena, surrounded by broken pillars and scorched ruins, a new presence appears. People online start reacting. Raccoon Man 4. Good job to everybody up until now. It sounds like people are giving up, accepting defeat. But then, Climber 123, hold on. A bright light flashes. A single figure steps onto the battlefield. A challenger. A challenger has appeared on the 48th floor, the realm of the Red Dragon Deathia. Everyone is stunned. Climber 123. There's still a challenger. The chat explodes. I'm dead serious. Wow, for real? At this time? Arcane shift forward flash backward. It's that guy that keeps saying it this time. I'm confiscating your keyboard for an hour. And then we see him, a man dressed in black, standing tall with his sword in hand, his face covered in shadows, his aura glowing with confidence. This isn't just anyone. Someone is still climbing the tower. Someone hasn't given up. And just like that, the world has a sliver of hope again. The challenger stands alone on the 48th floor. The air grows heavy. Flames swirl. And then it appears. The massive head of a dragon lowers from the shadows, smoke curling from its jaws. Its scales are dark like obsidian, its presence enough to shake the ground. Then, with a deafening crash, the red dragon Deathia lands in front of the challenger. Towering, terrifying, and fully awake. The dragon speaks. You humans do not know how to give up. You've returned once more after losing so many people. But the challenger doesn't flinch. He answers calmly. Well, I had some preparation to do to make a cooked lizard. But still, I made it in time. Deathia's burning eyes narrow. Human, do you not know that death, however equal it may be, can be more painful than the other? As he speaks, the dragon raises a glowing ball of fire in its claw. The air around it begins to warp from the heat. This isn't just another challenger. And this isn't just another floor. What comes next is war. As the red dragon roars with fire and fury, the challenger shows no fear. He speaks coldly. Well, a conversation with such a puny being wouldn't matter anyway. And just like that, he slams his dagger into the ground. Magic chains erupt from glowing symbols, binding his own legs first, an unexpected move. But that was just the beginning. With blazing energy, he launches forward, directly at Deathia. What an anticlimactic end. He strikes with full force, sending a shockwave across the room as the dragon's head is smashed into the floor. But Deathia isn't down for long. With a growl, the dragon glares. A physical attack, right after a bind? Isn't that a little too predictable? Clearly, this beast isn't just strong, it's smart. The dragon prepares to retaliate. but suddenly freezes. Why you? The challenger calmly raises his hand. I can tell what you're about to do just by looking at your hand movements. He's not just strong. He's fast, calculated, unshaken, and the dragon is finally beginning to realize it's in trouble. The red dragon Deathia stares in disbelief. Did he destroy my skill within those few seconds? The dragon grits its teeth, eyes blazing. This human is no ordinary challenger. Not bad, human. However, you've only chosen to die in a more painful way. With that, Deathia unleashes a devastating flame blast, erupting from its mouth like a beam of destruction. The flames tear through the battlefield, lighting everything in its path on fire. Stone pillars shatter, the ground quakes, and the air fills with smoke and sparks. But then, a flash. A figure is launched high into the sky, barely visible among the chaos. It's the challenger, flying upward from the sheer force of the explosion. He's still alive, and the battle is far from over. The protagonist is launched into the air by the red dragon's previous attack, but instead of panicking, he prepares for a counter. Midair, he spins with precision, holding his glowing purple dagger tightly. With calculated movement, he dives straight down like a missile, aiming directly at the dragon. In a single, perfectly executed strike, he drives the dagger into the dragon's head, right between its eyes. The attack causes a massive surge of energy to explode on impact, forcing the dragon to reel back in agony, howling. Qua! This is one of the few times the dragon has shown real pain since the fight began. The red dragon Deathia crashes to the ground, visibly damaged and furious. You impudent, it snarls. But it's not just hurt, it's humiliated. Furious beyond control, it roars out. I will never allow you to leave this place alive. And with that, it unleashes its most powerful technique. Red Dragon Deathia uses aerial breath. The entire dungeon is set ablaze. The flames are everywhere, covering the entire area. There's no safe spot left. Despite the overwhelming flames and destruction, the protagonist stands calm and still. He isn't running. He isn't dodging. Although this whole dungeon is under the area of its breath, there's no reason for me to dodge it. He raises his hand as glowing symbols and digital lights begin to form. His hand glows with intricate patterns, as if unlocking some ancient code or system. He activates a powerful ability, reading the memory of the world. It's clear now, this isn't just a fight of strength. The protagonist is tapping into something deeper, something that transcends time or battle tactics. He's accessing the world's stored memory, likely to reveal secrets, weaknesses, or even rewrite fate. Though not fully visualized here, the chapter ends with the clear implication that something game-changing is about to happen. While the red dragon relies on brute strength and flames, the protagonist is fighting with insight, knowledge, and precision. The next move could decide everything. As the battle reaches a turning point, a sudden system message appears. An infinite library filled with records of skills is forming. This isn't just another stat update. It means the protagonist has unlocked something special, something no one else ever has. A living database of every skill ever used, every technique ever recorded, across all time, all battles, and all dimensions. From now on, he won't just learn skills. He'll analyze them, refine them, and maybe even create new ones. It's no longer about who's stronger. It's about who understands the system better. And right now, he's the one writing the manual. After unlocking the memory of the world and forming the infinite skill library, he doesn't hesitate. He steps forward, calm, unshaken, and raises his hand as flames swirl in his palm. Then he speaks just one line. I'll bring out hellfire. The temperature spikes. The very air around him distorts. This isn't just magic. This is something ancient, something forbidden. The kind of flame that doesn't just burn flesh. It devours everything, soul, body, and will. And the one standing in front of him, the red dragon Deathia, is about to face it head-on. Right after summoning hellfire, he draws out another power. And black tears. A dark, glowing blade appears in his hand, pulsing with energy. The atmosphere shifts instantly. Two powerful skills, ready to strike. The real fight is just beginning. The red dragon roars in anger. Foolish human, did you really think a puny skill like that could hurt me? Standing tall, the dragon mocks him. You'll never kill me with something like that. But the challenger doesn't flinch, still holding black tears, still calm. The challenger tightens his grip, shadows wrapping around his blade. I'll never be able to win with this level. The close-up here looks sharp, the glow, the tension, his eyes locked in. That's why I'll be making this. He's about to unlock something new, stronger, deadlier. He brings his hands together and says it clearly. Hellfire and black tears. The colors pop here, dark purples and reds swirling as power builds between his palms. He's not backing down. He's combining both skills for something big. He shouts out, a combination of these two skills. Hellfire and black tears merge, creating a massive swirling blast. The colors are intense, bright gold and deep purple mixing into pure destruction. This attack isn't normal. It's something new and way stronger. A system message appears. Skill Hellfire, S, and Skill Black Tears, S, are being combined together. It's official now. The fusion is in progress. Two S-rank skills merging into one. Something big is coming. The fusion is complete. The energy swirls violently, purple and gold mixing together in a storm of raw power. A skill on the next level. It's no longer just Hellfire or Black Tears. It's something beyond both. A skill that can cleave even a dragon. Right after that, the system confirms it. The combination was successful. It's done. The new skill is real, and it's ready to be used. The fusion explodes into a swirling storm of energy, dark, chaotic, and unstoppable. The system message appears. You've gained the Breath of the Void Dragon Ether Ion SSS, an SSS-ranked skill, the kind that changes the entire fight. The red dragon freezes. That's the strongest breath of the ancient dragon Ether Ion. A massive, dark figure appears behind the attack. Ether Ion itself. The system confirms it. The ancient dragon Ether Ion. Shocked, the dragon shouts. How could a mere human use that? Who are you? Surrounded by lightning and swirling energy, he finally answers. Calmly, with a slight smirk, he says, Kong Jin Hyuk. Now the dragon knows his name. The one who just rewrote the rules of this fight. And behind that power is someone who's been through too much. Someone who's been worn out too much. There's pain behind the strength. A story we haven't fully seen yet. With a cold, confident look in his eyes, he speaks. And this is not my first time killing you. No fear. No hesitation. Just pure dominance. Not just some lucky player. Not a rookie. A pro. Someone who's been through it all and knows exactly how to finish it. A trash game. That's how people saw it. A game that wasn't fun, completely unbalanced, and nearly impossible to enjoy. Most gave up on it. But not him. Whether it's poor updates, lazy devs, or just insane difficulty. That's what made it a trash game. Even the player sighs and mutters. Of a trash game. But sometimes, the worst games create the strongest players. A towering structure rises under a blood-red sky. This is no ordinary game. The virtual reality game, Tower of Trials, is in this category. A brutal, unforgiving game, the kind only a few dare to keep playing. When Tower of Trials was released, Korean gamers did what they always do best. They dove headfirst into the grind. Before the developers even knew what hit them, players were already charting paths, pushing limits, and breaking mechanics. Day and night, no rest. 365 days a year, they gave it their all, chasing victory in a game designed to break them. But after 3 relentless years, reality started to sink in. No matter how skilled the players were, no matter how hard they pushed, they couldn't beat it. Towering bosses, brutal traps, even low-level monsters were deadly. The truth became clear. Tower of Trials was an unbeatable game. In front of the final gate stands a being wrapped in divine power and deathly silence. The Gate Guardian. with armor like a cathedral and wings like shadowed fire. He's more than a boss, he's a judgment. No challenger has ever bested him. He's practically invincible, one of the tower's cruelest trials. The Arctic floor, with temperatures plunging to minus 60 degrees Celsius. Even the strongest warriors freeze to death within an hour. No amount of strength can survive the cold. Before her sprawled a labyrinth, a monstrous maze spanning over 10,000 square kilometers. No map, no guide, no end in sight. Each wrong turn meant death, and she had just stepped inside. This game wasn't made to entertain. It was pure frustration wrapped in code, with no mercy, no balance, and no hope of progress. It broke spirits more than it built them. And finally, F*** this trash game. The controller flew. As frustration piled up and players gave up, the once hyped game lost its shine. The numbers spoke clearly. Tower of Trials was fading fast. Afterwards, the game started declining. The fall was steep. Players vanished. The community fell silent, and hope shattered like glass. To be exact, the game almost went under. But even as the world turned away, a few remained. There were still pros. Tireless, relentless, obsessed, who didn't give up on conquering this impossibly difficult game. Gasping for air, his breath ragged and shallow, he pushed through the pain again. No cheers, no applause, just sweat, grit, and the crushing silence of the tower. With a thunderous shockwave, the impossible was finally achieved. After countless deaths, resets, and agonizing failures, one player, only one, broke through the 50th floor. Collision, you have conquered floor 50. The message echoed like a divine trumpet. For the first time in the game's brutal history, someone had cleared the tower trials. The silence that followed, that was the world holding its breath. His breath ragged, his body trembling, Kong Jin-hyuk stared in disbelief. Is this for real? The words escaped him, not in fear, but in awe. After years of blood, sweat, and digital torment, he had finally broken through the impossible. The tower that no one could conquer had fallen before his blade. And in that moment, it wasn't about stats, rankings, or rewards. It was simply fun. For the first time in forever, the thrill of the game had returned. The thrill didn't lie in flashy skills or overpowered stats. It was the sense of accomplishment, earned through research, through grit, through failure. Every fall, every retry, he learned, adapted, and mastered the unknown paths of the tower, until those impossible stages felt like muscle memory. He crushed monsters with precision, snatched treasures once deemed unreachable, and in his eyes there was no fear, only focus, determination, victory. This wasn't just a game anymore. It was his domain. It wasn't just the thrill of the fight, or the shine of loot at the end of every hard-fought stage. It was the obsession, the dedication, the burning purpose that made him rise after every defeat. All the blood, sweat, and relentless grinding. It was worth it, because for him, conquering this game wasn't a pastime. It was a mission, one he devoted 11 whole years of his life to. No regrets, just resolve. Alone, in the silence of the final chamber, he stood victorious. The last floor, cleared. The game everyone gave up on. He finished it. No crowd, no applause, no camera, just the echo of his own breath and a soft laugh. Maybe I should have streamed this. A joke whispered into the ruins, by the only one crazy enough to endure it all. After years of obsession, frustration, and silence, he finally cleared the unbeatable game. No fame, no recognition, just a glowing cube in his palm and an idea. Maybe I should upload this on YouTube. A trash game, sure, but what's one more click in a world addicted to failure? The thought lingered, half serious. But in that quiet moment, the first ember of a new journey was lit. Just as the silence settled and the rush of victory faded, a soft chime echoed in the void. Floating before him, an envelope shimmering in blue light. His brows furrowed, not in fear, but curiosity. The game was supposed to be over, so why was something new beginning? A chime echoed, piercing the silence. A familiar system message unfolded before his eyes. "Thank you for playing our game until now." He blinked. Was that a farewell? Before he could process it, another message lit up. "A reboot update is planned to happen in 12 hours. Please continue to enjoy the game after the update." A reboot? A complete reset of the tower? A second chance? For most, this would mean chaos. But for Kong Jin-hyuk, it meant opportunity. And this time, he was going to climb higher than ever before. As Kong Jin-hyuk stared at the glowing system window, a rare smirk tugged at his lips. This is unexpected. They're doing a reboot update. His mind, always calculating, began spinning gears. What did they discover? Some oil field in the middle of a digital wasteland. He chuckled inwardly. The Tower of Trials, long forgotten by the world, suddenly getting a second wind? To others, it was a confusing update. But to him, it was the ultimate cheat code. A full reset, a fresh start, and only he knew how to break it from the very beginning. Kong Jin-hyuk wasn't just logging back in. He was preparing to dominate. Kong Jin-hyuk stood amidst broken stone, arms folded, eyes narrowing at the glowing screen. This really makes no sense. The Tower of Trials, a forgotten, soul-crushing game, had suddenly returned. And with it, a full system reboot. This game shouldn't be profitable for them. He leaned back against the fractured ruins, mind racing through possibilities. It wasn't just a random update. Oh well, they probably have their own thoughts about doing something like this. But while the developers might be plotting their mysterious comeback, they weren't the only ones with a plan. Because Kong Jin-hyuk wasn't just any returning player. He was the one who had already cleared the game. And this time, he was ready to break it wide open from day one. The game is back, but now it's his playground. Even as news of the game's reboot echoed through the community, Kong Jin-hyuk made his decision clear. Even if this game is getting a reboot update, I don't intend on playing this game anymore. His hands moved calmly, unhooking the headset, an object that had long been an extension of himself. It wasn't just a game he was turning away from. It was the life he'd built around it. And I plan on quitting my job as a streamer and a YouTuber, which I have continued up until today. The glow of the monitor dimmed, but behind his eyes, something else sparked. Was it really over? Or was this just the calm before the storm? Video camera 1 chapter ends, but the tower has a way of pulling people back in. As moonlight slipped through the window bars, Kong Jin-hyuk stood silently, fingers lightly tapping the cool metal. His expression was calm, borderline nostalgic, but his eyes were sharp, carrying the weight of hard-won wisdom. People used to tell me I should become a professional fighter. His lips curled into a faint smirk, not of pride, but practicality. Strength was once everything to him, but time had changed the equation. But right now, money is more important than fighting. A fighter's instincts, forged through blood and battle, now face the real-world boss, survival. And in this new stage, the strongest skill wasn't combat. It was knowing when to pivot. He didn't stop being a warrior. He just changed the battlefield. Under the serene glow of a full moon, the world lay still. The city slumbered, unaware that something far greater than dreams stirred beneath its quiet surface. From the rooftop of a modest apartment complex, the night sky stretched endlessly above, stars twinkling like ancient witnesses. The soft hum of life inside the building contrasted with the heavy silence outside. But in one of those rooms, lit like any other, sat a man no longer ordinary. While the world rested, he calculated. While others dreamed, he prepared. This peaceful night was the calm before the storm. For beneath that moonlight, destiny waited to be challenged once more. The screen flickers to life, an all-too-familiar glow in a quiet room. It's the start of another casual stream. Mobile phone live chat, 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Messages begin flooding in, eager, familiar, and warm. J77. Jinha. Jinha. It means Gene High. Eagle, what's up today? You're early. 20 viewers. Not much by global standards, but to him, it was enough. This wasn't just a stream. It was a window, his connection to a world that still believed, still supported, and still smiled with him. And in this fleeting digital moment, Jinha found a sliver of peace in a life filled with battle plans and broken dreams. A burst of laughter fills the room as the camera rolls and Kong Jin Hyuk leans back, chopsticks in hand, clearly enjoying himself. Plates of delicious food are stacked on the table in front of him. Kimchi, ribs, noodles, and more, enough to make anyone watching instantly hungry. Live chat explodes. Look at all the food he has. You're the best mukbang streamer. Better than your game streams. Eat before you leap. Even the puns come rolling in. But this isn't just a dinner. It's content. It's business. And for Jin Hyuk, it's survival. He smiles genuinely. This is easy. Fighting dragons? Freezing towers? Not so much. But being the center of attention, even for a mukbang stream. That's where Kong Jin Hyuk shines. The screen dims. The cheerful energy from the feast is gone. Jin Hyuk leans forward, the usual brightness in his expression replaced by a serious calm. Shadows gently conceal his eyes. His lips tighten for a second, then part. Hey guys, I have something I need to tell you. Silence. No chat spam. No emojis. No sound effects. Just tension. The kind of moment that makes thousands of viewers freeze in place, waiting. Was this the end of his stream? A personal truth? Or the beginning of something far bigger than anyone expected? This moment marks a shift from lighthearted survival to something deeper, something real. A change is coming. As Kong Jin Hyuk prepares to share his truth, the chat explodes. Not with support, but with sarcasm. Why are you talking like that all of a sudden? Don't tell me you're getting married or something. Boring. The flood of dismissive comments stings more than expected. He stares at the screen. His mouth opens, but no words come out, just a pause. A single, quiet ellipsis. This isn't the response he hoped for. Not when he was finally about to say something real. And yet, maybe that's exactly why it matters now. The moment stretches, heavy, awkward, and sincere. Jin Hyuk's silence says more than any words could. After a tense silence, an overwhelming mockery from the live chat, Kong Jin Hyuk throws on his signature grin like a mask. Nah, I just want to change up the way I talked as a joke. He laughs it off, hands gesturing loosely, pretending nothing ever happened. But behind that exaggerated smile and playful tone, there's a clear dodge, a deflection, a step back into the role of the entertainer, where it's safe. The panel's art style, with its comedic exaggeration and minimalist shading, perfectly matches Jin Hyuk's facade. It's light, almost cartoonish, ironically masking the emotional weight lingering just beneath. He's not ready to open up. Not yet. So for now, the show must go on. As the sun sets in hues of quiet resignation, Kong Jin Hyuk downs his drink in a single motion. Sharp, casual, but heavy. His thoughts are blunt. I should probably just post an announcement about me quitting tomorrow. No drama. No explanation. Just a quiet conclusion to a long, exhausting fight that no one else could see. The empty bottles on the table, one, then two, then more, say everything his words don't. The fade between frames reflects his sinking momentum. Slowly, quietly. Giving up isn't about emotion. It's fatigue. It's reality. The panel's calm, muted tone, and simple composition reinforce the silence before the storm. One last drink before walking away. Or before diving in one last time. The table still holds the evidence. 3 bottles, carelessly abandoned, glowing under the soft morning light. The night was long, and the decision even heavier. Cut to Kong Jin Hyuk sprawled across the bed. Disheveled, half buried in blankets, eyes barely open. Ugh. A single groan sums up his mood, part hangover, part dread. This isn't just physical exhaustion. It's the weight of everything he tried to walk away from the night before. But the world didn't end while he slept, and neither did the game. The panel is calm, yet tells of unrest. A brief pause before something reawakens. Because when a pro gets tired, they rest. But they don't quit. Kong Jin Hyuk clutches his throbbing forehead. The hangover from last night's soul-searching drink session still pounding like a drumbeat. His hoodie hangs slightly off one shoulder, a reflection of his mental state. half ready to quit, half still stubbornly in the game. With a groan, he mutters, "Damn my head," but even that pain doesn't drown out the nagging thought in the back of his mind. He straightens slightly, eyes flickering with resolve. I should probably upload my Tower of Trials, clear video. It's not pride. It's routine. Even when he wants to walk away, he still moves like a pro, because part of him knows that video could shake the world. Kong Jin-hyuk reaches out, casually pressing the power button on his PC tower. Click. The fans begin to whirl. The system lights blink to life. But then, something odd happens. His screen doesn't boot up. Instead, his eyes narrow. A strange, unfamiliar hum vibrates from the tower. His instincts, honed from years of grinding the toughest dungeons, tingle. Something's wrong. This isn't just a computer startup. Something bigger is awakening, and it's not part of any game. As Kong Jin-hyuk stares at the screen, his eyes widen in disbelief. The live broadcast reads, "The Tower of Trials actually became reality. Over 331,000 people are watching." The iconic dark spire of the tower looms on screen. Not in pixels, not in code, but in the real world. This isn't a drill. The impossible has happened. The game he knew, the one everyone gave up on, has broken the boundary between virtual and reality. And now, everything is about to change. As Kong Jin-hyuk processes the unbelievable message on his screen, his expression shifts to shock and disbelief. The Tower of Trials became reality? The once dismissed virtual game, a nightmare of impossible levels and unforgiving mechanics, is now no longer just pixels and code. Below, his cursor hovers over a glowing Enter button, radiating with significance. It's no longer just a command, it's a choice. To witness or to act. Meanwhile, chaos erupts in the real world. Crowds gather outside a massive tower that has suddenly manifested in the heart of the city. It's colossal, otherworldly, and impossible to ignore. Live streams broadcast it to millions, disbelief echoing in real-time chat. Wow, can you guys see that? You're watching this, right? The tower has emerged, and it's calling. These panels continues to unfold through a live stream. A streamer, visibly surprised, shares that he only found out about the Tower of Trials incident through a viewer named Melon Watermelon. He reveals to his audience that the mysterious tower appearing in real life is from an old game, released 11 years ago. Just as the shock settles in, the sky begins to turn blood red. The mood of the stream quickly shifts from curiosity to panic. The viewers flood the chat, expressing disbelief and fear. The streamer, caught mid-sentence, is interrupted by the eerie transformation of the sky. The protagonist stands frozen in shock. A sense of disbelief washes over him as he sees the ominous sign, an unmistakable signal from the Tower of Trials. It's something he remembers vividly from the game, but now it's happening in the real world. His thoughts race. How could this be? This is the sign of beginnings in the Tower of Trials. As he tries to grasp the situation, a glowing blue notification appears in front of him, hovering midair like a holographic interface straight out of a game. It reads, "Tower of Trials, reboot version. First update has been completed." Visibly unsettled, he mutters, "What is this?" The entire world is suddenly alerted by a mysterious system notification. "Everyone, please clear the next floor of the tower within 90 days. Panic spreads quickly. In city streets and dark alleys alike, people are confronted with glowing blue messages they cannot dismiss. Shock and confusion ripple through the crowd as the system continues. "If you fail." But the sentence is left ominously hanging. This event marks the moment the Tower of Trials merges with reality. No longer just a game. It is now a survival challenge for all of humanity. Everyone must now become a player or perish. As the warning echoed across the world, panic set in. Families huddled in fear, staring at the glowing messages hovering in the air. "Everyone, please clear the next floor of the tower within 90 days. Mothers held their children closer. Strangers froze in the streets, trying to understand the impossible situation. The message was clear. Failure meant consequences for all of humanity. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the sound of a chair crashing to the floor echoed in a small apartment. Someone had just stood up in haste, shaken by the looming threat. Reality had changed, and there was no turning back. The protagonist stands in a dimly lit room, facing a glowing blue message suspended in midair. The calm of the scene is broken by the grave content of the message. As he reads it, a look of shock spreads across his face. The screen clearly spells out the consequence: will perish. The message confirms the terrifying reality. If humanity fails to clear the next floor of the tower within the 90-day limit, they will be completely wiped out. The protagonist realizes that the situation is no longer virtual. The game he once played has merged with reality, and the fate of the world now rests on the Tower of Trials. The reboot update for the Tower of Trials is now complete. Players across the world are confronted with this new reality, and while initial shock remains, people begin to accept the truth. They are part of the game now. The visuals focus on an empty gaming room, screens still glowing, a chair slightly shaking, suggesting the player has already moved to face what lies ahead. The system message states that humanity's acceptance of the situation has rapidly increased, signaling that the game world has now become a part of everyone's reality. Kong Jin-hyuk stands silently under a moonlit sky, a bead of sweat sliding down his face. The weight of what he just learned hangs heavily on his mind. The Tower of Trials, once just a brutal game he mastered, is now part of the real world. Overwhelmed, he mutters to himself that he needs to cool his head off. As he throws on his jacket, determination replaces doubt. If the Tower of Trials has truly become reality, then there's no time to sit still and be overwhelmed. With firm resolve, Jin-hyuk acknowledges he must act fast. He can't afford to waste a single moment anymore. The protagonist bolts through the hallway with urgency written across his face. He knows exactly where he needs to go, to the place that holds the key item that could change everything. There's no time to waste. As he sprints down the stairwell, the sound of his footsteps echo through the walls. In his mind, the weight of the world's possible end presses heavily. Yet despite the looming threat, he can't help but question why something inside him feels so alive right now. Ask ChatGPT. As Kong Jin-hyuk makes a daring leap down the stairs, adrenaline surges through him. He's fully aware that the world stands on the edge of chaos. Yet his heart pounds not with fear, but with a strange thrill. The looming crisis, the impossible odds, none of it deters him. Instead, it fuels him. Meanwhile, the city is alive with uncertainty. In Central City, people gather in droves, their eyes fixed on the tower that has suddenly become a real and terrifying fixture in their skyline. Panic brews in the air, but amidst the chaos, Jin-hyuk races toward his destination with determined purpose. The chaos begins to ripple through the city. A man, drenched in anxiety, clutches his phone tightly while shouting in panic, "What's the fastest train to Busan?" The crowd around him is frantic, mirroring his fear. Everyone is desperate to find a way out as the looming threat of the tower grows real. Panic escalates. Another man, wearing a cap and yellow jacket, yells, "Fuck! Not even Busan's gonna cut it. We need to get out of Korea." The fear spreads as another voice adds, "Yeah, we need to go to another country to survive." The atmosphere is filled with dread as ordinary citizens begin to realize this isn't just a national crisis, it's a global one. As he throws on his jacket, determination replaces doubt. If the Tower of Trials has truly become reality, then there's no time to sit still and be overwhelmed. With firm resolve, Jin-hyuk acknowledges he must act fast. He can't afford to waste a single moment anymore. The view descends into a quiet subway entrance, marked with glowing embers in the air, a stark contrast to the chaos and panic outside. The emptiness below carries an eerie sense of stillness, as if waiting for something or someone. Standing at the edge of the stairs, the protagonist steels himself with resolve. Despite the uncertainty that lies ahead, he knows this is not the moment for hesitation. It's not the time to run, but to move forward boldly into the unknown. With determination in his eyes, he prepares to charge into the Tower of Trials. As the protagonist descends deeper into the stairwell, his thoughts are focused and sharp. He recalls the classification of this location by the Korean server. It's marked as an external zone. Not every place has such a designation. Only about 30 exist across the entire country. He's here because this particular zone is the one located closest to him. Reaching the entrance, he finds himself before this central underground strip mall. It's an unexpected location for something so critical, but makes sense in the context of the Tower of Trials. As he steps in, he is greeted by a strange serenity, a large fountain surrounded by classical statues. The area is quiet, too quiet, almost like a waiting room before a storm. Yet he knows this is the place where things are about to change. The place Kang Jin-hyuk has reached is filled with others like him, players who had once experienced the Tower of Trials. This area seems to be a designated gathering point for those who had previously reached the early stages of the game. Everyone around him is tense, silently glaring at each other, aware that competition or conflict may arise at any moment. Jin-hyuk, however, understands their anxiety. After all, only those who survive will get the chance to climb the tower and live. The protagonist reflects on the upcoming appearance of a rare item, noting that it's limited in quantity. This realization creates an underlying tension. Not everyone present will get a chance to obtain it. The competition is fierce, and the pressure is mounting. Someone suddenly addresses Kang Jin-hyuk by name, catching him off guard. The startled expression on his face shows that he wasn't expecting to be recognized. The moment suggests a possible confrontation or challenge, hinting that his reputation may precede him in this high-stakes scenario. As Kang Jin-hyuk turns around, he's greeted by a man wearing a sly grin. The man confirms his identity, expressing a mix of surprise and amusement at seeing him here. He mocks Kang, reminding him that he used to play the Tower of Trials non-stop, locked in his room all day. The air is tense, but there's no mistaking the familiarity and challenge in his tone. The man reveals himself to be Lee Jong-soo, a partnered streamer on Paprika TV and a prominent YouTuber with over 500,000 subscribers. With a confident pose and a flashy smile, he introduces his identity to viewers and nearby competitors alike. He's not just a familiar face. He's a well-known influencer with a huge following, and his presence in this moment hints at high stakes and fierce competition ahead. Kang Jin-hyuk recognizes Lee Jong-soo, a popular streamer and CEO of the company Jin-hyuk was once part of. Their unexpected encounter brings back memories of Jin-hyuk's past affiliations and the time he spent in isolation, immersed in the game. Jin-hyuk sarcastically remarks about Jong-soo's streaming schedule, pointing out the absurdity of continuing normal activities when the world is facing chaos. The tension between their past connection and the current situation begins to surface. Jong-soo casually brushes off the suggestion, implying that streaming is pointless now. His attitude contrasts with the seriousness of the situation, showing he may not fully grasp the danger therein. As Kang Jin-hyuk walks alongside Lee Jong-soo, the popular streamer tries to strike up a friendly conversation, asking what floor of the game he had reached. He suggests they share secrets, using their past as co-workers to build camaraderie. But his attempt at casual bonding feels disingenuous. Kang Jin-hyuk, however, is taken aback by the word co-workers. The memory of how things truly were between them in the past clearly doesn't match Jong-soo's rosy framing. The word hits him with a sense of bitter irony. Was that really what they were? Kang Jin-hyuk reflects on the grim truth about his former employer. The company lured many aspiring streamers with dreams of success, only to trap them in unfair, exploitative contracts that bled them financially the more they streamed. These slave contracts became a prison for many content creators who couldn't afford to stop streaming, yet suffered more the longer they kept going. Even when these streamers tried to speak out, their voices were swiftly crushed by the company's army of powerful lawyers. The legal might of the corporation ensured that any opposition or criticism was buried, leaving the victims powerless and their stories unheard. A hand lands on Kang Jin-hyuk's shoulder. The man behind him acknowledges his talent, calling him a great gamer and complimenting his mukbang streams. Jin Hyuk stands silently, his expression unreadable as the man tries to build rapport. The man makes his real pitch. He smiles and offers to rewrite Jin Hyuk's contract, promising better terms and a fresh start. It's a tempting deal, meant to pull Jin Hyuk back into the fold under the guise of fairness. Kang Jin Hyuk speaks the name Lee Jong-soo with a weight that hangs heavily in the air. This isn't just recognition. It's layered with history, tension, and unresolved bitterness. As Lee's hand rests on Jin Hyuk's shoulder, the atmosphere becomes charged, hinting at betrayal, resentment, and the acknowledgement of a shifting balance of power. The world they once knew is no longer the same. A bold declaration floods the screen. The world has changed. It's not metaphorical. Everything about reality has been altered, warped by the rise of the Tower of Trials. Rules, order, and expectations are erased in the face of a new reality where strength, knowledge, and adaptability dictate survival. Kang Jin Hyuk unleashes his bottled-up rage with a brutal headbutt, slamming it directly into Lee Jong-soo's face. The sudden impact comes without hesitation, his glare sharp and voice filled with venom as he snarls, "Don't talk to me like you're my friend, you mother ******. There's no restraint, no mercy, only years of resentment exploding in a single, violent moment. Two teeth fly out, tumbling through the air. A splash of blood stains the ground, a silent confirmation of the hit's power. There's no room left for pretense. The line has been drawn, and Kang Jin Hyuk has made it clear. This isn't a reunion. It's a reckoning. As Kang Jin Hyuk stands before the man he once knew, he suppresses his fury with clenched fists and a darkened glare. The past, once buried, rushes back with blinding force. Then, in a blur of motion, Jin Hyuk slams his head into Lee Jong-soo's face. Teeth shatter, blood sprays, and the smugness vanishes instantly from Jong-soo's expression. Jong-soo stumbles back, groaning in pain as blood drips from his nose and mouth. His hand trembles as it tries to stop the bleeding. The pain is nothing compared to the humiliation. Jin Hyuk towers over him, fists unclenched, a calm smirk curling at his lips. He looks down with satisfaction and says only one thing. That felt great. Kang Jin Hyuk, standing over his defeated adversary, felt a calm, yet alert presence settle over him. With the fight behind him and the crowd still on edge, he glanced off to the side, sensing that the crucial moment was nearing. He turned his attention toward the fountain at the center of the underground strip mall, the designated point where the item would appear. The mystical energy shimmered in the air, and faint glows started to pulse from the water, signaling that the legendary item was about to manifest. Statues loomed like silent witnesses around the chamber, and the atmosphere grew dense with tension. Every player present knew the item was coming, and only a few would claim it. As the fountain's waters begin to ripple, the atmosphere turns tense. The surface churns with an unnatural energy, signaling that something is about to emerge from within. All eyes are drawn to the pool, breaths held in anticipation. Suddenly, the water begins to bubble more violently. The force growing beneath the surface is no longer subtle. Whatever is coming is powerful. The tension reaches its peak, and the entire room braces for the appearance of the long-awaited item. As the waters of the divine fountain began to tremble, the surface bubbled and rippled with strange energy. A surge of magical power burst forth with a radiant glow, casting blinding light through the entire underground strip mall. Something was emerging from within, a long-awaited item of immense importance. A tremendous burst of light crashes down, erupting from the heavens as though the world itself is shattering. The surge of raw energy rips through space, forming a vertical line of divine force that strikes the ground with deafening power. This isn't just a phenomenon, it's a declaration. Something is descending. As the blinding pillar settles, it crashes into the environment with godlike force, striking through trees and ground alike. Everything in its path is split, carved by the weight of the descending object. and amidst the destruction, it begins to form something ancient, something powerful. From that very impact point, the surroundings shift. Trees bend under pressure, their roots cracking as they're displaced. And then, something begins to emerge. A colossal tree bursts from the shattered earth, glowing with radiant life force. It's no ordinary tree. It's the world tree, sacred and divine, piercing the clouds, its light illuminating the broken dome of the underground mall. This marks the arrival of the game's most coveted prize. The first item to descend from the Tower of Trials has arrived, and its presence changes everything. As the storm raged and the crowd braced for the unknown, a thunderous roar echoed through the plaza. Two individuals standing near the epicenter gasped in disbelief. One of them, fists clenched and eyes wide, shouted, "Whoa!" His companion, equally stunned but more composed, identified the anomaly with certainty. "It's a mangrove," she exclaimed, her gaze fixed on the colossal, tree-like structure erupting from the fountain. Its roots twisted unnaturally, glowing faintly with energy that radiated both danger and awe. The environment around them warped subtly, water spiraling upward, and a damp wind surged through the space like the breath of another world. The structure wasn't natural, it was summoned. A piece of the tower had manifested, and its presence sent ripples of realization through everyone who recognized it. This was no ordinary tree. It marked the beginning of the true trial. Hyuk stood amidst the rain and rising tension. He couldn't help the small smile forming on his face. In front of him, the mangrove had sprouted exactly as he remembered. The scene, the energy, the atmosphere, it was all just like in a game. He whispered to himself, "It's really the same as the Tower of Trials. Is this a dream?" For a fleeting moment, he questioned reality. But the sounds, the cold rain, the fear in the people's eyes, everything screamed authenticity. His mind raced with validation. So my memory was right. All the knowledge he had from the game wasn't fantasy anymore. It was his weapon now. And unlike the others, the sudden appearance of the mangrove of greed shocks everyone present. Its massive roots pierce through the ground as it towers over the surroundings. The tree exudes a mystical aura, pulsing with ancient energy and surrounded by thick vines and sparkling light. As the mist settles, shouts erupt among the crowd. Someone points out that the tree has borne fruits, vivid, luscious red fruits that dangle temptingly from its limbs. A wave of realization sweeps through the group. The onlookers remember the lore from the game. Each fruit grants powerful stat boosts, strength, agility, health, and magic. These are no ordinary consumables. They're coveted treasures that could decide the fate of anyone brave enough to reach them. A rush begins. Everyone knows there's only one rule now. Grab a fruit or get left behind. The young man eyes the glowing tree carefully, aware of the value of the fruits hanging from its branches. He acknowledges that these items are powerful, but there are only 4 in total. Far too few for the number of people present. He braces himself mentally, realizing this will be no easy task. A fierce competition erupts instantly as players rush the tree from all sides. Everyone is desperate to grab the fruit, shouting and clawing their way up. The scene descends into chaos, with cries of "It's mine" echoing throughout the area. People began to fight their way toward the tree, yelling and shoving others out of their way in the mad rush. A man screamed for others to move while throwing his weight forward. Another woman lunged with equal aggression, throwing an elbow at someone trying to block her path, shouting that the fruit belonged to her. Amid the chaos, a figure was forcefully thrown to the ground. Their body crashed hard, sliding on the dirt. Cursing in pain and frustration, they realized that this battle was far from just a game. As chaos erupted around the tree, the man who had previously been punched by the protagonist now sat bloodied and desperate on the ground. He tried to reason with the protagonist, claiming they could have both benefited if they had just worked together and split the fruits. His voice was filled with frustration and regret as he pointed out the missed opportunity. The protagonist, however, remained unmoved. As he turned away, the man shouted after him in anger, blaming him for their failure. "Now we won't get any fruits," he yelled, furious at the situation and his own helplessness. But the protagonist didn't look back. He had already made his choice. Amidst the chaos, desperate survivors scramble over the twisted roots of the mangrove of greed, each of them fighting savagely to reach the glowing fruits. One woman forcefully shoves another man down by the face, clawing her way forward without hesitation. Tensions boil over as people trample, push, and scream, all driven by the hunger to claim the rare fruit that could change their fate. In the midst of the madness, a hand finally closes around one of the fruits. The skin glistens with dew, its magic aura unmistakable. A single pull, and the fruit snaps free from the branch. One has been claimed, but 3 remain, and the frenzy has only just begun. The moment the fruit was snatched from the tree, chaos erupted. 2 figures scrambled over roots, clawing and fighting to reach one of the 4 coveted fruits. With desperation in his eyes, a man managed to grab one and, without hesitation, took a bite. As the juice dripped from his mouth, a soft chime echoed around him, agility +3. His body tingled. An alert expression lit up his face. "Why, yes," he shouted triumphantly, raising the half-eaten fruit in the air. His joy was short-lived, however, as another contestant clung to him, trying to wrestle the rest of the fruit away. The fight for the mangrove of greed's power had truly begun. Amidst the chaos of the mangrove's sudden appearance, one man forcefully shoves another aside and manages to grab one of the glowing fruits. Without hesitation, he takes a bite. A glowing blue message appears beside him, agility +3. "Why, yes," he exclaims, clutching the fruit triumphantly as a woman clings to his back. But the crowd continues to swarm the tree. Most of the participants are unaware of the fruit's true value. They only see the chaos, not the reward. The narrator explains that only those who've played this game before understand the real objective, the fruit. While others fight blindly around the trunk, those with experience focus on one thing, climbing higher and faster to secure the fruit that grants real power. The crowd scrambled and shoved violently around the base of the massive tree, their eyes locked on the glowing fruits high above. Chaos erupted as people climbed, clawed, and kicked their way toward the precious items. Some were thrown off, tumbling into others as desperation turned into an all-out brawl. Amid the madness, a single figure stood silently apart. His dark eyes watched the scene with eerie calm. He wasn't worried. Unlike the others, he knew exactly how this would unfold. He had lived through this scenario in the game countless times. These early struggles, the fighting, the fruit frenzy, it was all predictable. He had already planned several moves ahead. And people who've no-lifed the game like me, he thought, lips curling into a quiet smirk. This was just the beginning. As chaos surrounds the mangrove of greed, the protagonist remains composed. He smirks, knowing that this moment is exactly what he trained for. While others struggle over the fruit like desperate animals, he steps back, not to avoid the fight, but to savor what's coming. He's not after just the fruit. He wants to dominate the system itself. A twisted pleasure flashes in his eyes. For someone who has poured endless hours into mastering this game, the real reward isn't just power. It's watching others break under the pressure of a world he knows inside out. The screen turns crimson with words that mark the true beginning. Enjoy the more sadistic and perverted process that follows. The game isn't just survival anymore. It's a blood sport, and he's the one holding the rules. As the chaos erupted under the mangrove tree, a swift shadow cut through the madness. A leg whipped down with unstoppable momentum, carving the air apart. The kick landed with devastating force. The ground split, and debris flew everywhere as the impact shook the area. The violent display silenced the frantic scrambling, sending a clear message. Whoever made that move was not someone to fight over fruit with. As chaos erupted around the tree, a girl suddenly screamed out a realization. Eating all the fruits wasn't safe. A horrifying thought struck her. She had forgotten one of the most critical rules of the game. Another panicked player fell to the ground as he was struck by an overwhelming force. The bystanders watched in horror, now understanding that the fruits could bring more than just power. They carried consequences. Amid the commotion, the main protagonist broke into a run, yelling out warnings. His memories surged back. He had died in this exact scenario multiple times before. Shouting desperately, he urged everyone to run, admitting that this specific moment had claimed his life. As chaos erupts around the mangrove tree, the protagonist walks forward with calculated calm. The crowd scatters in all directions, some in panic, others in fear of what just happened. Cracks spread across the marble floor beneath him from the previous impact, and people watch him with growing unease as he passes by. His expression unreadable, his presence heavy. Meanwhile, one of the men from earlier, who had previously shouted in frustration about losing the fruits, quietly slips away. Avoiding confrontation and possibly seeking another opportunity, he moves toward the edge of the area, glancing back over his shoulder to ensure no one is watching his retreat. As the dust began to settle from the chaos near the mangrove tree, one of the participants, his face bruised and spirit broken, began to walk away. His body was battered, and the weight of failure hung heavy over him. The crowd that once fought violently had thinned out. Just then, a voice pierced through the silence. "Are you giving up?" asked the dark-haired young man, his tone calm, yet sharp. The battered man paused, turning his head. His eyes were filled with fear and desperation. "Oh, obviously," he snapped, his voice cracking. "I don't want to die here like that." His shout echoed around them, revealing the raw fear of someone who realized just how real the stakes were in this twisted game. As the two young men stood among the chaos, the dark-haired one spoke with unsettling calmness. "Really? That's a shame. The real prize of this event can only be obtained once you eat all the fruit." His words hung in the air like a cruel revelation. The other guy, bruised and visibly shaken, could hardly believe what he was hearing. His voice trembled as he asked, "Are you serious?" The realization that there was something far greater at stake than he imagined made the situation even more daunting. The protagonist looks calmly at the desperate man and says that the real reward can only be obtained by eating all the fruit. The man, shaken and doubtful, asks if he's serious. With a sharp and serious expression, the protagonist responds that if it were a lie, he wouldn't still be standing there. His unwavering confidence carries weight. The man finally realizes the reason behind the protagonist's strange behavior, why he wasn't scrambling for fruit like the others. It wasn't carelessness. It was strategy.